Hey guys, how's it going? Clonk's back again with another episode of my FC26 Jose's Redemption Glory Hunter career mode. And today guys, we start season 2 of this save. So if you missed anything from season 1, and I've said it multiple times in multiple videos, that season 1 was a very big roller coaster ride. So if you have missed any of it, you do want to go and check that out before we carry on through this one. So there is a link in the description down below to the entire series playlist so far, so you guys can go ahead and catch up now before we carry on through into season 2. But for those of you guys who are all up to date, you will know that in season 1 we ended up starting at Juventus, ended up at Atletico Madrid halfway through the season after being sacked, and then in Atletico Madrid we didn't get sacked, but we're not doing amazingly again. But hopefully we got full season now with Atletico. Well, we hope. I'll bear in mind if I do get sacked, that's going to be very annoying. But yeah, like I said, we should be able to stick to it this season and have a better performance and hopefully get our first trophy in this save under our belt. And we do have all 3 trophies at the minute that we can fight for, because we are in the Champions League as well. So if we could notch that as well, that would be fantastic. But I'm gonna focus on it, because that was probably my big downfall at Juventus, was not focusing on the Champions League enough after losing a few games. So we are going to focus on the Champions League, but I do want to win the league this season as well. So if we can get 2 of them, then that would be fantastic, and then we can move on next season. But as for now, we are at Atletico and we are going to have a look at what we are going to try and bring in this season. Okay, but first of all, these are the players that I am looking to move on at the start of this season. So we've got Musso, who has just come back from loan, I believe, but we've already got Resties and Oblak, so I don't need this third goalkeeper, so we are going to move him on. Lengele don't really want to use, didn't really use him at all last season either. I'm just going to look to cash in on him and get rid. Costas I'm going to send out on loan. Perez I'm just going to transfer because I'm not going to use him, and just maybe get some bit of cash for him. Lamar's come back from loan, not looking to use him either, so we are going to send him out as well. And then we've got Soloth. I didn't give him a lot of a chance last season, to be fair, and I do think he is a good striker. However, I think I can bring in a better backup, so I think he is probably, and I could probably get some cash for him as well. So we're going to move on Soloth as well. Right, so those are all the players we're looking to move on. Now I'm going to show you who I'm looking to bring in. But just before we jump in to look at that, I just wanted to show you and recap the save rules, because we haven't actually seen these since the beginning. Since the first episode of the series so far, which was obviously in season 1. So I'm just going to show you that again. So these are the save rules. I'll go through them quickly. So the aim of the game is to try and win every trophy in Europe top 5 leagues: Italy, France, Germany, England, Spain. We'll also try and win the 3 European trophies, which would that be in Champions League, Europa League and Conference League. I'm not too bothered about the Conference League. If we get time to do it, great. It's just obviously, like I explained in episode number 1, we are trying to stay in the top team, so to be in the Conference League might be a bit difficult. It's just, if we can do it, then great. I can only stay at one club for a maximum of 2 seasons. I can stay in the same league, however, so I could move from Atletico to Real, for instance, but I can't stay at Atletico for more than 2 seasons. But like I mentioned, we are sort of writing off season 1 because we got sacked halfway through, so this is technically my first season at Atletico. The other thing was we can only sign players 2 overalls higher than the current highest rated player. Our current highest rated player actually is 88, I believe, which is Alvarez, although now I'm thinking about Oblak might be higher, but I'm not 100%. But either way, I'm not looking to sign anyone 90 overall anyway, but if I could basically, but whereas in another team I might not be able to because they might have lower rated players. You know what I mean, you know what that all means. I can only sign a maximum of 5 players per transfer window, unless I sign 5 players, unless players get sold, sorry. So unless I sign 5 players and then we sell 1, so then we sell 6 altogether, I can replace that 6th, but I can't if we've only sold 4 and I've signed 5, then that's it. You know, I can't sign any more unless we sell more than the 5. The save must be realistic, so if any offers come in, like you would have seen, we have to accept it. Well, we don't have to accept it, we have to negotiate if it's realistic. You know, say, I don't know, for instance, say we're at Chelsea and Barcelona or Real Madrid come in for someone, just for instance, they come in for Garnacho, for instance, say they come in for Garnacho and he'd start there and they're in the Champions League and we're in the Europa League, then that's an offer that he would probably like to go, and we would have to then negotiate it at least. Then the final one was have to stick to Jose Mourinho's tactical style, which we have been doing. Of course, Mourinho is what this save is. I'm doing it as Jose Mourinho. It's called Jose's Redemption, so he needs to be the aim of the game as well. So his tactical style has to be what we do, because that's who we are, to keep it realistic. So that is what we're going to do. So that is the save rules. If you, obviously I've talked a lot through them as well, I've been through them one by one, so you've had plenty of time to look at them. But if you didn't for whatever reason, then feel free to pause the video and have a look as we move on to having a look at who we want to sign this season. Okay then, so there are 4 players that I would like to sign at the start of this season. I'll show you my transfer budget in a second, but I'll just go through these individually first at what I'm looking at. So the first position is centre back. I'd like to have a backup centre back. Of course, we're moving Lenglet on, so I would like to have a better backup. Now the player I am looking at is Piero Hincapié from Leverkusen. Of course, in real life he has actually signed, well, I think he's on loan at Arsenal, but I think they do have an obligation to buy, or at least an option to buy. I don't 100% know the ins and outs of that transfer. However, in game he has gone back to Leverkusen, so I think this deal makes sense. I think he would be open to moving, Leverkusen would be open to moving him on, and I think coming to a Champions League Atletico Madrid and probably play, he might even start over Lenormand anyway, so I might even choose to start him over Lenormand, and then Lenormand might drop to the bench. But either way, I think that is a smart move. The other backup, if we don't end up signing him, is actually Tapsoba from the same team, but I would prefer to go for Hincapié, and hopefully we can bring him in. Now the second player that I would like to bring in is a player that we already know from this save so far, and that is S2E1 Koopmeiners. Now when I was Juventus, he was absolutely amazing for me. I really liked him, so I did even say, I think, that I was considering just bringing him everywhere I go. But in the end, we actually ended up selling him to Real Madrid. However, of course, because we got sacked, and you know the ins and outs of that transfer, if you're not familiar, then go back and check it out. I've been through it a lot, but basically we had to go back in time, which meant that transfer didn't actually go through. So I think it makes sense to now go and sign him. Of course, it's at the opposite Madrid, but we're on a different timeline, so it doesn't really matter. And I think this signing does make sense. So we're going to bring in Koopmeiners as a central midfielder for me as well. Another player we could potentially look at is Douglas Luiz, but the only reason I've got him on there is because I'm thinking maybe I can sign another central mid, or however, we have had some players come back, particularly Rodrigo De Paul, is that his first name? Or De Paul, I can't remember what his first name is, but De Paul is a player that I would be open to keeping here, and I think that that's probably what we'll do then. We'll probably sign Koopmeiners and then have Cardoza and then De Paul as my 2 backup midfielders, so that I'm happy with. Now the other player that I want to sign is the right hand midfield position, or the right winger, or the right mid, whatever you want to call it. I am tempted by it, I've got to be honest. He's 34, he's playing still at Liverpool. I would say Liverpool would be open to moving him on now. Obviously, if this was the kind of save where we were looking long term, then this signing wouldn't make any sense. And the player that I was thinking of bringing in was Savinho. However, Savinho is going to cost me a lot, and there are a few players that I want to sign this season. So I was thinking maybe I need to look at someone a bit less and still with decent quality. Now, you know all about Mo Salah, of course, fantastic player, and even though he is starting to decline now, he is still a really good player, and I think he would definitely do us a good job for at least a season, if not 2, if we end up staying here for the full 2 seasons. I still think that by then he'll be 36, but I still think he might not be as, obviously by then he might not be as good as he is now. Well, he won't be as good as he is now, but I still think that he can do a job. So I am thinking that Mo Salah just makes sense for now. I think he would be open to joining Atletico Madrid as well, because we're in the Champions League as well. So to leave Liverpool to come to us, I think that is a good signing right there. And then the other signing that I wanted to do, because of course we are moving on Soloth, is to bring in a backup striker, because we're not going to replace Alvarez. Alvarez was fantastic for me, and I think he's going to be really good for me this season as well. So the player that I am looking at is Randal Kolo Muani. Now Muani, of course, in real life has gone out on loan to Spurs, so PSG don't really want him anymore. So I think this makes perfect sense. He is a great looking player. The other option I was looking at was actually Nicholas Jackson, who of course in real life is on loan at Bayern, but he has gone back to Chelsea. However, I'm looking at both players, and both players are very similar. Nicholas Jackson's a bit better in the finishing. However, I think as an all-round player, Moani is a bit better. And of course, he's 2 years older, same overall though, and would cost us quite a bit less. So I think Colin Moani makes the most sense, and that is the striker that I'm going to look to bring in. So we've got 4 players that we want to bring in. So we need to have a look at the transfer budget and show you exactly how much money I've got. So we'll have a look at that now. Let's go to the office. So we've got 155 million to spend. So of course we are looking to move players on as well, so we will have a bit more than that hopefully, but I think that this is still enough money to bring in what we want to bring in. And I think I'm going to start right now and actually bring in the first player, and I think you probably already know who that player is going to be. I've gone on the wrong bit. I need to go to Transfer Hub, that's what I'm looking for, and I think you guys can probably already guess who's actually right there, and I've actually just scrolled straight past him, and that is Team Cup Miners. He is going to be the first player we bring in. Let's go do that. So I think I might even go to 21.5 and see if they're willing to take that, which they are happy with. So again, for less than valuation, which I'm very happy with, and Team Cup Miners looks like he is going to be our first signing, and what a signing is going to be, because he was absolutely fantastic for me when I was at Juventus, and I'm very much looking forward to bringing him in. We'll put him on a 3-year deal, which he's happy with. We won't put a release clause on him, even though in Spain most players have got release clauses, but that's just not something I really want to do at the minute, even though it's I do like realism, and maybe I'll do it in a save in the future, but for this save I just think putting that restriction on us is just going to make what has already been a bit difficult start to this save even more difficult. So yeah, so he's on 110 at Juve. I'm willing to give him a bit more. In fact, he's on 110 at Juve because I gave him that contract, didn't I? So I'm I'm thinking he might be happy just to take that. Oh fuck, I was on the fucking release clause. A little bit of an error on my part there, and I gave him 110 release clause after saying I'm not looking to give a release clause because I thought it was the wage, because I started talking. So basically I offered him £1 just so he'd walk out. We will go back in for him, but obviously it'll be a week's time now, so he's definitely going to be a player that I bring in. It's just me being stupid again. I'm going to advance now. I am hoping to get the first game of the season in this episode today, but it might not happen because of the amount of transfers that we want to do, but we'll play it by ear. I'm going to advance now for the week because I do want Cup Miners to be my first signing, but we might get some offers in between, so if anything happens I will show you. If not, the next bit you will see is me going back in for Cup Miners, and we are going to bring him in, and we're not going to put 110k on his release clause. Thank you very much. Okay, we've had an offer here for my backup goalkeeper, which is Guillermo Restes. Of course I was going to keep him, and I do still kind of want to keep him as my backup. However, this offer from Forest is an offer that I think he would want to go to. He'd start at Nottingham Forest 100%. They've only got 2 goalkeepers, highest rated, which is Angus Gunn at 74, 73. So he would definitely be a starter for them. They're in the Premier League, so I am going to negotiate it. However, I do want the higher fee, so if they want him, they're going to have to give me the 29, which they are happy to pay. So it does look like the Restes might be leaving us, which means that we need to sort of reassess now what we're going to do goalkeeper wise. Okay guys, I'm actually not going to go into the transfer market, because I think what makes the most sense now is to actually take Musso off the transfer list and keep him as my backup. There's no point going to buy anybody. I think he's more than capable of being my backup goalkeeper this season, so I think that just makes the most sense. I would have loved Restes to be my backup goalkeeper. However, 21 years old, 79 overall, he is looking to be, of course Oblak is aging and he's 33, and if this was again me staying here long term, then I wouldn't have accepted that. I would have given Restes more game time, and then obviously then moved on, maybe even moved on Oblak because he's aging. But like I said, we're not here a long time, so we need to just take it as it comes. We're sort of living in the now, and at the minute I think it makes sense for Restes to go and look for first team football in the Premier League, and then we can just stick with Oblak and then have Musso as my backup. Off here for Javi Gallan from Lens. Gallan is going to be my backup left back. I'm quite happy to reject this one. Okay then, so we've had a big offer here from Aston Villa for Alexander Soloth to go back to the Premier League. You know, this would make sense. Aston Villa have literally only got Ollie Watkins, so he would definitely rotate with Watkins, but he would definitely have game time there. They've come in with a 44.9. I could potentially get him between 33.4 and 48.9, so I maybe could get a little bit more money out of Aston Villa here, so we'll go and try and do that. Don't want to be too greedy, but if they can give me 48 million, I'd be quite happy with that, which they are very happy to do. So it's not Emery anymore. Emery's actually at Barcelona now, isn't he? I'm not sure who that is. I should know who that is because I recognise him. I just can't think what his name is. But anyway, Aston Villa then are looking like they're going to sign Alexander Soloth, which then opens the door for us to then sign Kolo Muani. However, what I'm going to do first is go back and try and get cup miners. And here's confirmation then of the first outgoing of the season. Restes is off to Nottingham Forest to play for Ange, Big Ange, in the Premier League for 29.9 million. And then the board will give me 25 million, which we're going to reinvest into other areas because, like we said, I'm quite happy to keep Musso. I want to say Russo, but no, it's Musso as my backup goalkeeper. So yeah, so that's probably a decent win-win situation for both of us. Like I said, Restes was definitely too good to be sat on the bench for us. So yeah, we will use that 25 million and hopefully bring in everybody that we want to bring in. Another offer in then, this time for Clement Lenglet from Roma for 14 million. Again, I could maybe try and get a bit more out of them. Of course, we are looking to move Lenglet on, so this is a sale that I would like to do. So we're going to try and get a little bit more. We can potentially get 16 million. So we've got an extra 2 million there, and it does look like that Lenglet is also now heading out the door. Second offer for Lenglet then, also from Italy. This time it's AC Milan. Again, they've come with 14.7. If they're willing to pay 16 million like Roma, then he can have the choice of which Italian club he wants to go to. So we'll ask for 16 million, which they are happy to pay. So he has the choice. Is it going to be Roma? Or is it going to be Milan? Okay, so we've accepted a lot of outgoings. Only one has actually gone through yet, but I am anticipating all of them going through, to be honest. So it's about time we actually brought someone in, which we did try and do before we sold anyone. But we're going to have to go back in for cup miners. He is the player that I want to be the first signing for me, so we're going to go back in for him. I can't actually remember what we actually offered last time. I think it was 21.8, which they're happy with. So we'll go in with 21.5. That might be more, I can't remember. But this time, we're not going to give him 110,000 release clause. I think he wanted important, so we'll give him that. And like I said, we're going to discard release clause is what we're going to do this time. And then wage is what we're going to give him 110 as. And then we'll give him a 200,000 sign-on bonus, which I'm hoping he shall sign. He's happy with that. And finally, we have our first signing through the door a week after he was supposed to, but at least he's come through eventually. And now Cup Miners is the first signing for us as an Atletico boss as well, because we didn't sign anyone last season, did we? Because we joined after the January transfer window. So Team Cup Miners is back, and I'm very happy to bring him through the door. And we are going to look to maybe now actually bring in a centre back next, because Lenglet is on his way out. So we'll try and bring in Hincapié next. 60 mil. Hopefully they will accept that. 68.2 with a release clause to 63. And hopefully they can agree with that. They want 71.2 without the release clause. What about 68? They're happy with 68, so still quite a lot of money, but it's enough to get him through the door. And obviously we have got a lot of sales going through, so we should still have enough money to do what we want to do, even with this big sale, because we still got about 86 million. He's on 76,000 at Leverkusen. He's definitely going to want more than that. He's on a huge wage increase, but I think that is exactly what he should be on, considering he's 84. Considering we just put Cup Miners as an 81 overall and a bit older on 110, probably a lot less than he would want, but he's happy with it. So Hincapié is our second signing. So there's two signings through the door. Now we will wait for those sales to go through before we bring anyone else in. However, I think the next player that we will probably bring in will be Kolo Muani, because obviously Soloth is almost out the door. Here's confirmation then of Alexander Soloth heading out the door. He is off to the Premier League to play for Aston Villa. We sold him for 48 million. The board are giving us 43.2 million. So we're going to go ahead now and bring in our third signing, which is going to replace him, which is going to be Kolo Muani from PSG. So let's go bring him in. But just before we do, we've got an offer here for Thomas Lemar, who we are looking to move on. It is actually from Al Hilal. I think that is very realistic for them to come in for him. So I am just going to accept that 9.7 million. It is exactly how much the board reckon I could get for him. So we're going to accept that, and then we're going to go and bring in Kolo Muani next. Okay then, so the board said that PSG won about 35 million, but they said that I can potentially get him for as low as 28. His valuation is 28.5, so we're going to go again for the low offer with 28 and hope PSG are willing to let him go, which they are. So another simple negotiations there. Kolo Muani then is looking like he is going to be our third signing through the door. I'm going to accept that because obviously we're bringing him in for 28 million now, so that is a lot. That's a big jump. He's 27, so he might grow, but obviously we are only here for 2 years, so by the time he maybe grows, then we should be already out of here anyway. So I'm quite happy for realism reasons, and I don't think that's going to impact us too much because I don't anticipate anybody paying that as long as I'm at the club. So I'm quite happy with that, and then even 100 signing on bonus as well, which he should be happy with, and he is. So Kolo Muani is our third signing through the door. Now we're going to advance. I'm probably not going to play the first game in this episode. I think it's just going to be about transfers because there's a lot going on at the minute, so I don't want this episode to go on for too long. So what I'm going to do now is advance and wait for some offers to go through. Obviously we still want Langley to go. We've got obviously Lamar. I think there's one more transfer as well that I can't remember off the top of my head. However, like I said, we're just going to wait now, and then eventually we will bring Mo Salah in today, and we should be done then for all of transfers in one episode, which is massive. But let's advance now then and see what offers and transfer deals go through. Here's the first confirmation then of Langley leaving. He chose to go to Roma over AC Milan, so he is heading off to Roma. He was going to Italy either way for 16 million. I reckon I could maybe make 2.5 mil more, but I'm not too bothered about that. We've already brought his replacement in, so now we're just going to advance, and the next one hopefully should be Thomas Lamar through the door. Offer in here then from Real Madrid for Julian Alvarez, which we are of course rejecting. We're Atletico Madrid. I don't want Alvarez to leave anyway, but a transfer between these two clubs is very unrealistic, so we're not going to accept that. Julian Alvarez does have a release clause of 200 mil, which I am thinking maybe I need to offer him a new contract just to raise that, because the board record I could have got 171 mil now, so I anticipate at the end of this season he is probably going to be worth more than that, so we should probably raise his release clause. I'll keep a release clause on him if he's willing to take one. That is a lot higher than 200 mil, just to stop anybody from paying that and stealing him from us. Okay, just an update on Alvarez then. He didn't want to sign a new contract, so we haven't really got a choice. So if that release clause does get paid, he's going to have to go, but we are obviously not going to accept any offers for him, especially not from Real Madrid, because like I said, rival club, we're looking to beat them to the league title this season. So yeah, Alvarez is staying for now. Here's that confirmation then of Thomas Lamar heading out the door then. I believe he is the fourth player to leave us now. He is off to Saudi to play at Al Hilal. Probably reckon I could have made 3.8 more mil out of it. I'm not that bothered about that. He's out the door, and now we're just going to advance through the pre-season friendly, which is coming up. I'm just going to sim through it. I'll show you the results in the calendar once they're done, because we're not too bothered about it. We're not going to play it. What we'll do then is get closer to the first game of the season, which like I said, we're not going to play, but we are going to bring in Mo Salah before then. Well, we're going to try and bring in Mo Salah anyway on that right hand side. Okay, so we've just had this unexpected event. Inside Access, an important production company, wants to film your team throughout the next competitive year. Accepting this offer could positively impact the club in various ways, including increased exposure and revenue. However, it might also add pressure on the players. Consider the potential benefits and challenges before making your decision. My decision is no at the minute. We are not in a position to be accepting things like this. We are already under pressure, so to add some more pressure on my team and me at the minute would probably be a bad move. So I am going to reject this. However, the club and players have mixed feelings about this. Saying no, but though, is actually bringing mixed feelings for the players, which is not ideal, but I think no is probably the best action at the moment, so I'm not going to let that happen at the minute. We don't particularly need the increased revenue at the moment either, so I just think that saying no to that is the best thing for now. So let's advance forward. Okay then, so maybe it wasn't the best move. The board, who are already not fully impressed with me, aren't happy that I didn't accept that documentary. Maybe that wasn't the right move. I've done it now, I can't do anything about it, so we're gonna have to move forward, but maybe I just didn't want pressure. Now we've sort of pissed off the board even more, so it seems every decision I make at the minute is the wrong one, but we've done it now, so let's move on. Another one through the door then, Pablo Perez. In the end, I didn't show you this, but I accepted any offers that come in for him, and we had an offer for from Cardiff, so he has decided to go there. An interesting one, but yeah, so he's gone to the Championship with Cardiff City. Okay, so we've just had an offer. Well, I say an offer, it's not an offer. Basically, Barcelona have actually paid Robin Lenormand's release clause of 68.6 million. Now, I got this message off him. If I hadn't had this message off him, or if he messaged me and said that he was open, that he wanted to go, then I would have had to let him go, and then we would have had to go back in and look for another centre back. But because he's open to negotiations and he's happy to stay, we're going to go and do that instead. So we're going to go and look at his contract. So we've just given Normand his new contract. He's taken an extra year. His wage has gone up from 81,000 to 100,000, and we've actually put his release clause up to 100 million. Somebody might even pay that soon as well, because he is growing, but hopefully not. It was 68.9, so it has gone up, and hopefully Barcelona don't decide to go, oh, do you know what, I was going to pay that now instead. They shouldn't do, so Normand is staying at the club. There's some confirmation that Costas is going out on loan to Girona for 2 years, so basically meaning that we will never see him in our squad, because we will be gone in 2 years. But anyway, he is out. So we've actually now reached the first game of the season against Rayo Vallecano, which I'm not going to play in today's episode. We will play that at the beginning of the next episode. Okay then, guys, I am going to wrap up the episode now. I've got a bit of a dilemma, which I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do, so I'm going to have a think about it between episodes. I don't know whether to go for Salah or Savinho, because we can actually afford Savinho now, which is the player that I was originally going to go for. So I'm just going to have a little bit of a think, because I'm sort of debating which one is more realistic, because Savinho still probably wouldn't be playing as much as he'd like at City, because they do still have quite a few players there. They got Foden, they got Cherky, so there is a potential out for him there to come and play for us, to have first team football. So we're gonna see, but then obviously Salah as well is aging and maybe would like to maybe leave the Prem now and potentially come and see what he can do in La Liga. So I'm gonna have a think between episodes. We still got plenty of time in the transfer window as well. We might even wait till deadline day and maybe then make the decision, because we've done everything else we want to do. It is just that right hand side that we are looking at now, and I think it is between these two. So like I said, we will have a think between episodes, and then, well, yeah, I shall make my decision at the beginning of the next episode. But before we wrap up, just to show you what happened in the pre-season friendly, then I did sim through it all, but we started off with a draw against Roma, we then had another draw against Arsenal, and then we drew against, no we didn't, we beat Bournemouth to win the entire competition, so we had a bit more extra money there because we won the competition, so that's always nice. But like I said, I did sim through it, so we will start off with our first play game in the next episode, then with the game against Rayo Vallecano. I'm thinking that we'll probably have all three of these games. I might even play all three just to start us off into this campaign. So yeah, I think we'll play Vallecano, we'll play Eibar, and then we will play Oviedo, and we should be picking 9 points from 9 from those games, so hopefully we can go and do that. And then we probably won't have deadline day. We might even have deadline day at the beginning of episode 3, and whether or not I would have made the decision by then on to bring either Salah or Savinho in remains to be seen. But if I haven't, like I said, we will definitely make that decision on deadline day. But that is where we shall wrap up today's episode then, guys. As always, if you did enjoy it and you are looking forward to season 2 of this save, please remember to leave a like on this video and subscribe so you don't miss anything else from this save and my channel. And of course, there is a link to my Twitch in the description down below. Come and join me live so you can help me out with dilemmas like this where I don't know what to do. So come over and join me on Twitch so you can give me your suggestions and all that jazz. I shall see you in the next episode then, where we will get our La Liga campaign underway, and hopefully it's going to be a better season than last season. But we shall see how it goes then. I've been Clonks. Remember, guys, take care.